Hello again. I wanted to talk about a few things that I've been thinking about along my journey. Uh, it's funny because I've created these videos and, well, I think that they have value, at least to me, they have value. And, it's a journal. So, um, I don't, I look back and they're not like most people's content. They're not really educating you. It's just kind of if you can relate or not. And so here's what I have been thinking about. I've been thinking about what I have experienced so far and what I have learned so far along the way in just under a year on a GLP-1. And that's what I wanted to talk about. Um, and the reason why I brought up the past content that I've created is because unlike most content creators, they have a goal in mind, and that is to talk about the GLP-1 or the specifics of the connection with the GLP-1 and physical um, things that you go through, and what they eat in a day, and um, how things are changing within their body. And I kind of go just on this emotional journey of life while I'm taking a GLP-1 and trying to lose weight, and probably 98% of the time about stress. Um, that is the most relatable subject to me. So, in any case, here's a couple of things, and I'm looking down because I wanted to be somewhat articulate when making this video and kind of have some thoughts together. So, as of this morning, I'm down 101 pounds. And um, I, again, I'm very grateful for that. And again, even if I never lost another pound, the mobility and the improved health and the amount of pain that has left my body, and I still am in pain, but it's not debilitating like it had been most of the time. Now, when I have a flare up, it's debilitating, but um, I have to say this has been the best almost one whole year that I've had in a very long time, years. And I'm so thankful for my new mobility and my forever improving health. That being said, there's some things that I've learned about myself on this journey and learned about the GLP-1. And I just want to say, so that I don't cause any fights or arguments, this is my opinion and this is my experience. I am not telling you that this is your experience, and you can agree or disagree. We all have a right to our own opinions. So I'm not trying to force feed anybody, dictate, or come off as Miss High and Mighty. Now I have all the answers. I don't have the answers. I'm still learning along the way. And if and when I hit the magic number that I want to hit, which I will not reveal, um, because that may change as my body changes, and I may see that that number is just not the number I need to be at. Um, but when I get to a point where I'm like, okay, you're at goal. That's it. There's nothing more to lose now. Now we are going to enter maintenance. Um, I'm still learning. So when I if and when I get to this next goal, which I know you're supposed to say when, not if, but I have trust issues with myself. And I have had disordered eating and obesity way longer and way more frequently than I've had health and slenderness and the body that I hope to achieve one day. So, these trust issues that I have with myself because of all the times I've quote unquote fallen off the wagon, deviated from plan, binged, um, while I'm getting better and my habits are getting more consistent and I'm getting stronger, I'm not out of the woods, not by a long shot. And there's nobody that can tell me that me at 54 years old now, still most likely going to be on this weight loss journey, not maintenance, but weight loss journey, well into age 55, if not also 56, before I even hit maintenance. Um, you can't tell me that someone who has been fighting food addiction, disordered eating, all different kinds, from anorexia to binge eating disorder to bulimia nervosa. No, I'm sorry, anorexia nervosa. Um, and other out of control, um, out of control relationship with food, I'm gonna say. Not out of control eating, because obviously if you're anorexic, you're not eating. But you can't take somebody who has dealt with this. I'm 54 and I can remember being on some form of diet since I'm about 4 years old. So 50 years, I have consistently learned and developed very disordered eating and have been dealing with obesity and the bullying that comes along with obesity, you know? Um, the Do you think you'll ever get a boyfriend? Do you think anybody will ever love you? Do you think you'll ever get married? You're so ugly. You're so freaking fat. Uh, Cursed at and, called all kinds of names, even from adults when I was a kid. Um, you can't, Let me rephrase that. You may be able to. I can't go through 50 years, 5 decades of all of this weight related turmoil that has been the most consistent, constant in my life, more than people, and be expected to now trust myself because I've got a shot that I take once a month. Sorry, once a week. I wish it was once a month. Once a week. And I'm losing the weight and all's right with the world. I'm I'm more than halfway through my life unless I get to live to be, 108. And I doubt I'm going to live to be 108. Uh, so, you know, I've already fought more than half my life with this battle of trying to lose weight and get the body that I want. I'm going to be spending the next half of my life till probably I die or close to it, hopefully from old age and not getting run over by a bus. Um, the mental habits, the emotional health, the the spiritual connection to food, and not a spiritual connection in a good way. Like, there's no way that the first half of my life I'm going to finally get my goal in my 50s and not be fighting this battle mentally and emotionally for the rest of my life. Um, Even if it's not a fight, I'm going to have to face it. It's always going to be there. And that's why I came up with that title, The Weight of Extra Weight, when I made that series last year in November, I believe it was. Um, the weight of extra weight is heavier than the actual physical weight. I have missed social situations. I have given up social situations. I have eaten by myself for years. Um, I have worn long sleeves in 99-degree weather. I have done everything mentally, emotionally, and physically that was in my ability to hide on some level. The amount of shame and pain and frustration and humiliation that I have carried, I promise you, is a billion times heavier than anything I've carried on my body physically. But it's all as the result of everything that I've carried on my body physically. So, some of the things that I've learned are what is important to me in this journey and what is really the purpose of being on a GLP-1 medication that causes you, I don't want to say causes weight loss, that is used as a tool to assist with weight loss and changing lifestyle to healthier habits. And this is what it means to me and what I'm figuring out and what I believe is the truth. And that this is the part where I may get some pushback. And that's okay. You don't have to agree with me, but I feel like a lot of us have missed the point of this GLP-1 journey. We are missing the point, myself included, up until recently. And I still, while I feel that this is the case, it's not ingrained in me yet. It's going to have to be consciously thought about in order to really grasp it. But I feel like I'm starting to grasp it. And that is, well, everyone is talking about protein and calories and tracking and strength training and, don't miss a meal and this and that and the other thing. There's very little talk that I've heard, some, but not very much, about listening to your body. The purpose of the medication to fix something. But are we focused on fixing the wrong thing? Because before the GLP-1 for me, I could not I could not lose the weight. I could not get control of my eating. I also could not identify hunger versus thirst. I could not identify when I was full. I could not identify when I was satisfied. I could not get past cravings. Um, and I could not get past the food noise. What if we look at the GLP-1 a little bit different. Yes, there's all that physical stuff that we have to take care of. We have to, no. But suggestively, we should all consider that the GLP-1 medication is a tool to help us lose weight. And when I hear things like people that will skip a week because there's a function or a holiday coming and they want to enjoy the food, I don't get that. I don't understand it. I don't relate to it because with all the food noise and the cravings and the drive and the jonesing like a drug addict to get specific foods or just to get any food because I was not emotionally full, because I was not physically able to control myself, because I couldn't tell when I was full, or if I was full, I couldn't quite tell how full I was. And I would not stop at satisfaction. I wouldn't even stop at full, because if it was something I really liked, I was going to eat no matter what, to the point where I would vomit. And not because I was bulimic and intentionally trying to vomit, but because I could no longer detect how much my own body could physically hold a food. I prayed and wished for years to stop craving food, to lose my appetite, to lose the emotional joy, the emotional connection to food, so that I could not be haunted and harassed and tortured by food noise, cravings, food, and obesity. I would have given my left arm. I wished, and I know this sounds terrible, I wished I had the big C so that I would have to go through treatments that would kill my appetite and make me thin. That's how sick, that's how badly most of my life I wanted to be thin. Not just healthy, but thin, and to fit in, and to not be harassed by my own brain and my own body, to not be bullied to be fat because I was fat, or to be able to do things that other people my age were doing, whether I was a kid, a teenager, a young adult, what have you. I would have given anything. I would have literally given my life if I could have just a few months of being thin, of feeling beautiful, of moving my body in a way that was free, of having the confidence that I see other people have. Not just thin people, even people that are heavy. But I was never one of those people that was bubbly and confident while in a big body. That's just not me. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I admire it. And I've seen many beautiful, obese, not just overweight, but obese people dressed to the nines. And their makeup is perfect and everything. And they're happy and they have beautiful relationships, friends, spouses, boyfriends, you name it, and living a full, happy life. I am not that person. I've never been that person. I've never been okay with that. That is me. I'm not talking about that for anybody else. I've never looked at somebody else who was obese and thought you shouldn't be happy, or, you know, you shouldn't have those things. You don't deserve them because you're heavy. But for me, that's the truth that I've lived. And when I hear people stop their medication so that they can enjoy food, I've always wished to not enjoy food. I wished to lose my taste buds. I wished to lose my sense of smell. I didn't want to walk into a grocery store on a Sunday morning and smell all the fresh bread from the bakery section the minute I walked in the door, and then crave and actually go into anxiety because I didn't know exactly what it was that I was smelling. I knew it was bread, but was it a croissant? Was it a loaf of bread? Was it cake? What was it? Because that's what I wanted, and I didn't even wouldn't have even known how to get it. And that would bring on anxiety and frustration and anger to no longer have the tight connection with food, to no longer have to act every single time within my addiction to food. I'm still an addict. I will always be an addict. I am 100% no different than a heroin addict. And I know this because I live with a recovering heroin addict. And my son is a drug addict. And when I tell you my husband has looked at me at my worst and even my best and said to me, if I didn't live with you and see it with my own eyes, I would never believe it. Your relationship to food is no different than my relationship was to heroin, and neither was my behavior. Now, everybody is not a food addict. Everybody does not have the disease of obesity. Everybody does not gain weight to the point of obesity. Not everybody is on a GLP-1 for the same reasons, but I am on the GLP-1 for these reasons. And when I hear people stop their shot or they drop out, they just don't want to take it anymore because it's changed their social life with food. I feel like aren't we missing the point? Isn't it great to disconnect from the food and just be happy to be in the social situation of sitting down to a good meal with family, with friends, to be more interested in the conversation, to be more interested and enjoy the company of others than to enjoy the food itself? Food is sustenance, it's nourishment, it's nutrition. You can be morbidly obese and still be malnourished because you're not getting the nutrition that you need. So I cannot understand why people would want to give up changing their habits, um, and their relationship with food. The relationship isn't about the meal, in my opinion. The relationship is about what comes with the meal, the people that you're with, the company that you keep, the nourishment. So I feel like we talk about protein, like I said, and the strength training, but what about listening to our bodies? For me, I have learned that listening to my body and recognizing hunger signals, thirst, the difference between hunger and a craving, the difference between eating because I'm bored or upset or happy versus eating because I'm hungry. That to me is not talked about enough because most of us, again, I don't mean to generalize, but myself, I thought the whole point was that the Zepbound was the GLP-1 medication was going to take away, you know, the cravings and everything and just well, I didn't even know that for sure. I actually just thought it was just going to make me lose weight. That's what I thought. I thought, 4 months in, I was going to look like Cindy Crawford. And I felt misled. Um, that's what I thought. And I hear that, people are confused. Should we be hungry on a GLP-1? Should we, you know, be having this feeling? Should we be having, why the hell not? We have an opportunity with this medication, not just to learn about nutrition and to help us stay in the rails instead of off of them, but an opportunity once that medication and the body starts to adjust and we start to get signals again of hunger, of fullness, of satisfaction. That to me is when the real learning comes. That's when the real change comes because we have the opportunity now to listen to our bodies, to really understand what our bodies are saying to us. And the cravings don't just come because we're emotionally connected to a food or because there's a scent in the air of fresh baked bread. Cravings, I'm learning now, happen. They come back when I'm not getting enough nutrition and I'm not recognizing right away what that is. I'm I think back to before the Zepbound when I would be hungry all the time because I was eating crap. I was eating pizza. I was eating pasta. And you want to say there's some nutrients in it? Great. So say there's some nutrients in it. There's protein, whatever. But this is not vitamins and minerals and chlorophyll and all these other things. And I'm not trying to preach, but what I'm trying to express is that this is what I am becoming aware of, what I am learning now at the end of almost 1 year. I am starting to realize that when a craving comes back to me, and not a craving for watermelon or fruit, but a craving comes back to me, I'm beginning to realize I'm not hungry because I'm hungry. I'm hungry because I'm malnourished. I look back at what I ate. Did I get That's when I'm looking to track. Did I get enough protein? Did I get enough fiber? Did I get enough greens in? Did I get enough minerals and vitamins in? Did I get enough hydration? And now I'm starting to recognize that's what I have to look at. And that's where I think the connection is getting lost for a lot of people from what I'm hearing. The tracking, I don't want to get on a scale every single day. That will make me nuts. And if it works for you, great. I hear a lot of people it works for them. But if you have an eating disorder or a history of eating disorders, getting on the scale every day is not your friend. Even if every day it shows a half a pound, 10 pounds, it's not your friend. If you have eating disorders, more than likely. I'm not a doctor. I'm not diagnosing, and I'm not telling you to follow my theory. This is my opinion, and this is my experience. And I could not weigh myself every single day and not make myself nuts because I also couldn't weigh myself every day and not have it turn into twice a day, then 3 times a day, then 4 times a day, every time I pee, every time I move, every time I burp. You know, I could not. Before a meal, after a meal. That's what it would turn into for me. I'm an addict. I have addiction. I have an addictive personality. When it comes to food, when it comes to weight, that is where I struggle the most. And the Zepbound, what I'm learning, is giving me not just the space to make better decisions when I eat, it's making me interested in figuring out what my body is telling me. I'm learning to recognize what is hunger, what is physical hunger, what is emotional hunger, what is a craving, and what is a call for help, saying, hey, you didn't have enough nutrition, and that's why you're feeling just slightly off, and now you're starting to crave this food or that food. We're so scared as people with obesity, um, with having feelings, having hunger. We feel like these GLP-1s should erase all sensations related to food. Some of us feel that way. The other part, half of us, or whatever amount of us, percentage, is dropping off the medications because they lost their taste, they lost their joy for food. There's a middle ground, but I think we're missing some of the messages. Yes, it's important to have enough protein. Yes, it's important to have enough fiber. But yes, you should still feel hungry. Yes, learning those signals that your body is telling you is part of the journey. And not everything is going to work for everybody. I understand that. And I tell nobody, do not do my program. Like, I'm telling, that came out wrong. To everybody out there, do not follow my program. It's not for everybody, it's for me. But so I'm not telling anybody to follow a vegan diet. I'm not telling anybody to quit this or to quit that. But I'm learning that as much as protein and strength training and fiber is important, so are the signals. And rather than go on going on and being afraid of those signals, why am I hungry? Is the medication not working? I shouldn't feel this. I don't want to feel this. I'm learning to put a plan in place. I'm not 100% at this. I am still working on this. This is still actively part of my journey. But I am learning now, for instance, that if there's an emotional hunger that I just cannot get past, or if there is a day where I am just ravenous and it's true, genuine physical hunger, it's coming from the throat, it's coming from the belly, it's not heartburn, it's not thirst, it's genuine, legit hunger. And it's just one of those days or one of those weeks where I'm just hungry all the time because I'm a woman and I'm going through different womanly physiological changes. I am not going to tell myself, no, I'm fasting, or no, you're supposed to be on OMAD, or I have done intermittent fasting, I've done long-term fasting, I've done water fasting, I've done OMAD, and I'm not against those at all under a doctor's supervision. And again, I'm not a health anything. This is just me, my opinion, and my experience. I'm not dictating to anybody else. I'm just sharing what I've learned and some conclusions that I'm coming to. Not that I've come to, but I'm starting to come to. And that is, I'm losing my thought, damn. Uh, that I'm not going to make my body or my brain think that I'm going to starve it. If I'm not hungry and I have no interest in eating, I'm not hungry and I'm not eating. You say what you want, whether I got my protein in that day or not, or whatever, my calories, whatever. As long as I'm not getting dizzy, feeling lightheaded, and about to pass out, if I'm not hungry that day, I'm not eating. Because guess what? Normal people that don't have weight issues, and that didn't come out in the most eloquent way. I'm not saying that you're not normal because you're not thin or because you have eating issues. But people that are just naturally thin, let's say that, and naturally gravitate towards a healthy way of eating and a healthier lifestyle with movement and so forth. There are days where they're not hungry, and there's also days where they're hungry all the time. That's just being a human being. And I'm not going to make my body or my brain think when I'm hungry that I can't eat anything because I'm trying to watch my calories, or I had enough calories today or too much or whatever. I'm going to eat. But the difference is I'm learning, I've already pre-planned what the types of foods are that I'm going to gravitate to. I used to do Weight Watchers, and I mean, back when I was a kid, I didn't do it as an adult because I didn't care for it as a kid. But I did Weight Watchers with my mom many times. And in the old plan, I don't know what it is now, but in the old plan, vegetables were considered a free food. Jello, sugar-free Jello was considered a free food. Anything that either barely had calories or grew from the ground like a vegetable was a free food. Not a fruit, but a vegetable. Well, kind of on that same philosophy, not exactly. Um, I'm eating all the fruit I want. Yes, there's more calories and there's more sugar, but it's a different kind. And I'm also not diabetic, and I'm very much aware that if you're a diabetic, the things that I'm saying are a no-go for many. Again, I'm not telling anybody to follow my way or that I'm right and your way is wrong. I'm just talking about what I'm coming to as a conclusion. And what I'm coming to as a conclusion along in this journey and what I've come to so far is that rather than go hungry, rather than constantly live in fear of signals that my body gives me, I have certain foods already planned out that if I got to eat, whether it be emotional or not, I'm going to eat. But what I'm going to gravitate to, as long as it's already made, is I'm going to pick the healthiest foods that I actually really enjoy. Because I don't enjoy all healthy foods. I mean, if broccoli tasted like pizza, I'd be green and I would be underweight because that's all I would live on. But um, the fact of the matter is that I know I can't do the pizza all the time. So while I am learning and starting to crave healthier foods, I also have those foods in the house. And I also have in my mind, if I absolutely have to eat, whether again it be emotional or physical, I'll grab the apple, I'll grab the watermelon, I'll grab the fruit, I'll grab the vegetables. I'll go cook. If I want a hot meal, boy, I will add salt and turn that into, you know, the best tasting broccoli you ever had. Um, by doing that, even though I might be overeating that day, there's days where I'm not eating enough and it all balances out. And I think that that is equally important to listen to the signals and learn to get comfortable with those signals so that we can learn to start trusting ourselves. It's equally as important as the protein and the fiber and the weight training and the strength training. These are all important. They all go together. And I don't think that we talk enough about signals and recognition of who we are as individuals. And I think that we're missing something very valuable here because to me, by recognizing these signals, by not living in fear, by learning to trust ourselves, and by having a plan in place to the best of our ability, um, that that's really where learning how to eat like a naturally healthy person, let me say it that way, a naturally healthy within normal weight person eats. And I think that that is equally important and equally valuable and not thought about enough, in my opinion. This has all been my opinion. I'm telling nobody that they're doing anything wrong. I'm telling nobody to follow my program because I go off the rails often. Not nearly as often as I was in the beginning, but often. And I am so far from being on point. But I've gotten better and I'm losing the weight, not just because I'm taking the shot and eating, you know, a little bit less on the candy bar. I'm losing the weight because with that tool, I've made some very big changes in my eating habits. And the eating habits, to me, go beyond just what the food is, but more so the way we think about how we eat, why we eat, when we eat, and what we're afraid of when it comes to food. And while everybody is not this way, I think there are a lot of people that are not that different from me. And that's what I wanted to share and I feel passionate about. That listening to the signals and not being afraid of them and coming up with an emergency kit, a mental emergency kit that is food, so that you don't have to fight constantly. I know that when you start doing this and you start making healthier choices with food, not only do the cravings start to go away as you get more nourishment in your body, but you begin to learn to trust yourself and your gut bacteria changes and your cravings then change. And when they say the foods that don't normally taste good start tasting good, it's true. It's true. I'm telling you from my own experience, it's true. When you're hungry, you're not craving. You just want to eat. You just want to stop the physical hunger. When you're hungry, broccoli never tasted so good. Tofu never tasted so good. A steak never tasted so good. Mashed potato, it doesn't matter what your diet is. When you're truly hungry, you're not craving. And if you're craving, there's a really good chance, again, I'm not a nutritionist, not a doctor. I don't even know why I have to say all this. Obviously, so I don't get sued because somebody goes and does something stupid because of what I say. I'm not telling anybody that, I'm not preaching the gospel here. I'm just talking about my experience and what I'm starting to really become consciously aware of. When my body is craving something, I'm realizing, hey, I've not been eating so great the last couple of days, or maybe today. I really didn't have any true nourishment. I just kind of had, a little here, maybe a little there, or maybe just a little here. My body wants nutrients, and guess what? Even though I might want that slice of pizza or that whole pizza pie, if I have a healthy soup or something that is already made and in the fridge and all I have to do is stick it in the microwave for 3 minutes, when I eat that, the cravings are gone because the nourishment, the nutrition, the nutrients, I feel satisfied. I feel different. It's just like I think I'm craving the fruit because I can feel the difference between living food and not living food. Candy bar is not alive. A slice of pizza is not alive. Watermelon, juicy, fresh, sweet. Grapes, berries, apples, pears, oranges, grapefruit, whatever. When you eat it, you feel hydrated and you feel alive. When you eat a fresh vegetable, even a cooked vegetable, there's more life in that vegetable. You can feel a difference if you really pay attention versus eating, say, a frozen dinner. Which, by the way, I eat frozen dinners, vegan ones, but occasionally I do eat them. It's not a habit, but occasionally I do eat them. So this is what I've learned. This is not what I've learned. This is what I'm learning. This is what I'm becoming consciously aware of. And this to me is one of the most valuable things that I'm learning on my journey while taking a GLP-1. That to me, the purpose of a GLP-1 is that it's not just giving me the space to make a better choice with food, it's giving me the space to gently start to go past boundaries that scare me when it comes to my relationship with food, knowing that I have the extra support of the GLP-1, so I don't have to constantly be afraid of gaining all the weight back or going off into oblivion. And I know that even if I do have a day or two or 10 of that, still didn't gain back all the work that I've done so far, all the pounds that I've lost. I didn't lose all the lessons. And I'm learning to give myself the grace. I've learned that living with guilt because of what I ate, beating myself up because I had what I quote unquote think I shouldn't or know that I shouldn't, it doesn't fix anything. Beating yourself up, it's not gonna, I'm not gonna beat myself into submission and then turn around and eat perfect for the next, year. I might do it for a day or two, a couple of days, maybe a week. Might even ignite one of those 6-week deals that I would do. That is not going to be long term. Making myself feel bad for not doing everything perfect with my food, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't fix anything. Nothing. If anything, it stresses me out, makes me want to binge even more. So that's what I'm learning about myself and my body. And I'm learning that if I'm thirsty, it's already too late. I'm already thoroughly dehydrated. And I'm also learning that it is very hard to hydrate when you're not thirsty, at least for me. But it's something that I'm working on. I'm not there yet, but I'm working on it. I'm getting better at it. And I'm learning to know the difference between thirst and hunger. And I'm learning to recognize, hey, excuse me, I'm craving this, but I have this back at home. Excuse me, I can do this. I can leave that alone, and as soon as I get home, I will grab that, and in 3 minutes, I will have a hot meal. And no, it's not going to taste like pizza or eggplant parmesan or whatever other Italian food that I'm completely and utterly mentally and emotionally attached to. But I'm going to feel nourished, and that craving is going to die down fast, and I'm going to feel full, and I'm going to feel satisfied, and I'm going to do well, or at least I'm going to do better than I had in the past. So I'm sorry this is so long. Sorry it's a little preachy. Um, I would love to hear what you think. I hope that your comments will not be mean. I don't expect you to agree. Um, but and you don't have to kiss my butt. Um, but I would love to hear what your take is, what your opinion is, what you've learned on your journey so far, whether you've lost 1 pound or 200 pounds. In any case, thank you for being part of my journey. If you stuck around this long, you're a trooper. Thank you. I love you guys. Thanks for being part of my journey and my day. Bye.